welcome y'all to Backwoods Obscura, a podcast dedicated to the lore, legends, and myths surrounding the creatures that may lurk in your backyard. My name's Hewitt.
I'm Chris.
Hey there, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I think it's been a great week. I don't know why. Maybe it's just it's Friday, but I had a little bit of an issue with this particular monster because, you know, our whole podcast idea is that, it's about like the backwoods creatures no one really talks about. And I was sitting here thinking I was smart. It's like, oh yeah, the Fouke monster. No one's really heard of that, right? Except for when it was a nationally successful movie and has a whole cottage industry around the Fouke monster.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know much about it. And the movie you're talking about, I thought was fake. I thought it was like a spoof made on the era, but no, it's the real one. So... tell me about this Fouke monster.
So yeah, it was a movie. It was actually a docudrama. Basically what they did was they interviewed a lot of people from the town and then reenacted a lot of the stuff. And a lot of the people in that movie are actually people who experienced things. And actually some of them played themselves.
Really? That's actually kind of cool. Like,
yeah.
Like, again, like when I saw this on Netflix, not Netflix, on Amazon, hashtag not sponsored. I thought it was fake. I thought it was like a riff track or like something goofy somebody did because it seemed like somebody was trying to make a documentary about a movie that was a movie. Like, that's what I was getting, but also this has been years since I watched that.
Yeah. Okay, so before the movie, there was sightings of this creature, but it wasn't until the 1970s that it actually became like the creature. Like, literally called the creature or the swamp stalker. A little bit before then, people apparently call it the Jonesville monster because it was in Jonesville, Texas, apparently. A lot of those sightings are just your average, oh yeah, you see something moving in the woods or something cross the road or you see some hairy man at the edge of a lake or something like that.
That's just Knox swing.
Yeah, I mean, it's things where it's like boring and it doesn't necessarily really bring much. The event that really like kicked it off is a fairly unique event, especially in regards to like cryptid events. But before we get to that, I want to talk about what is the Fouke monster. Now, most people kind of think of it as like a Bigfoot-like monster, but that's kind of more of a post-movie development as the legend kind of got intertwined with Bigfoot lore. Bigfoot was also getting pretty big at the time. So
I mean, he was doing monster truck shows all over the country around that same time.
Damn it. It's not what we're talking about. Maybe we'll do an episode on him. On the truck, not Bigfoot though. One big thing with one big thing with Bigfoot. One big thing with the Fouke monster is 3 toes.
3 toes.
This was the big thing that separated it, although now it's being called into question, which is weird saying. Like, we're talking about cryptozoology, so it's kind of all in question, but...
Well, with the toes, tell me about the 3 toes, because, like, does this look like somebody might have had, like, they were playing with a rifle and now they only got 3 toes type situation, or is it more of like a 3-prong out in the front, alien kind of, maybe a deformity?
All the tracks look mammalian, which means, like, if this was a thing, very unlikely, very, very unlikely to evolve that way, or it might have been like a genetic thing, like a genetic deformity. Which can happen. Cleft hands, cleft feet are a thing, although I don't know, like, how well people with that condition can walk, necessarily, but I guess it doesn't matter too much.
Nobody out there body shame this monster.
No.
Or this cryptid. Monster's judging. Monster is judging. No, nobody go out there and judge this potential creature's
this non-confirmed entity.
Yeah, don't body shame. Don't body shame the North American ape.
Okay, so aside from that, it has like a very peculiar hunch, usually having one shoulder higher than the other, almost like a Swamp Thing-esque sort of gait as it like moves around. It's said to have like a large chest and like from pectoral to pectoral is like 3 or 4 feet. And like weird proportions. Smaller legs, bigger arms.
You just described the Beast Titan from Attack on Titan.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I haven't seen Attack on Titan. Well, I've only seen the first season, but it was like when it first came out, so I remember nothing. Like, it does kind of have like ape-like qualities. Like, it has like the hair, and like it's always said to have like a human-like face or an ape-like face. But once it came into the mainstream, that's when it really started kind of merging with the Bigfoot lore, and then it just became like Fouke, Arkansas's own Bigfoot. Even like if you look at pictures of the Monster Mart in Fouke, Arkansas, they have a literal Monster Mart. I mean, the Fouke monster looks like Bigfoot, which I think is kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that, because it kind of takes away the identity a bit when you look at like older depiction or older descriptions of the creature, and now it's like, oh, it's a Bigfoot. It's like, okay, well, because they didn't even like the 3-toed thing is like the unique thing, but even now when they put that into dispute and they have this whole thing, now it has 5 toes apparently. Like there's this whole deal with the toes.
So hold on. So in Fouke, would there be like an argument between like, does it have 3, does it have 5? Like, are there like, is this like the high school football rivalry? Like one group of cryptozoologists is like 3 toes, and it was like, fuck you, 5.
Well, no, it's more like, I think a lot of it was people taking advantage of the situation. Like there was a soybean farmer, or he was either a soybean farmer or he was a gas station employee, and he, quote, found some tracks with 3 toes, and like immediately after that happened, he was selling like plaster replicas. So people kind of suspect he might have
done a fake Suwaxi.
Yeah. And there's supposedly newer tracks recently that show 5 toes, which, sure. I mean, I would assume whatever the Fouke monster was is probably dead by now, but...
Yeah, unless there's a thriving population, possibly.
Well,
and then the 3 toes could have been just a weird genetic mutation.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, the Fouke monster, the one in the incident, is probably dead at this point. But let's get to the actual event, which I think... Like, I like this event because it's very personal.
So, like, not your usual cryptid sighting of, like, the trees and a bunch of noises and stuff, but...
Yeah, it's like coming face to face with it.
Man, that'd be a tall person, because isn't this thing supposed to be, like, 7 foot tall?
Anywhere from 7 to 9 feet. Again, it's like, it starts at, like, 6 to 7 feet tall, and as the legend gets bigger, they're like 9, 10, 11 feet tall, kind of...
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes it scarier because, like, if it's twice the size of you, that's immediately terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, shit, something 7 feet tall is immediately terrifying, honestly. But the main story, the one that, like, kind of jumped this off, and the one that got into the newspaper that eventually went national, was the story of Bobby and Elizabeth Ford, who had just moved into their home that week. They had not even been in the house a week. They started hearing all this like rustling and all this other thing around the house like for days. Like as soon as they walked in the door, there was like things going on. There was a time when Elizabeth Ford was resting on her couch, and when she saw what she thought was a bear, initially.
That's terrifying on its own, though.
Yeah, which is terrifying on its own.
Not trying to cut you off. A bear at the window, to me, is just as terrifying as, like, a cryptid. Because that's a bear.
Yeah, I mean, it's... let's be real. Bigfoot, bear, descriptive-wise, you wouldn't want to run into either. But she sees this big hairy arm reaching into the window, and from there she sees this large silhouette of a creature with red eyes. Or red eye shine. Whatever you want to say. She said it was as big as silver dollars. This prompted Bobby and some family to go out and look for the creature, and they ended up finding it, and shooting at it, but despite saying they hit it, that never saw any blood, never saw any hair or anything like that. The only thing they found were well, at least in one telling of the story, they did find three-toed tracks. This is why I say, like, the three-toed track is kind of because when it comes to this particular event, I don't think they were really, like, lying or anything. They had no reason to lie. But there's also that bit where it's like later on people.
Well, could the three toes have been added to the story later on, or did they actually say they?
Well, you see that's another thing. I did read somewhere else, or did watch something somewhere else where it talked about three-toed tracks came in later during production of the movie, and then was added into the movie, and they just kind of arranged things around a bit. So no matter what, they did find some evidence of something being there, like scratch marks, things being rustled and everything. No blood, though. Later on, I will say the timeline for this gets kind of messed up again. We're talking about going from a movie, like a docudrama, to other later renditions of the tale. So I'm like with a lot of these things, I'm noticing a sort of like game of telephone between everything. With Bobby, he goes out one night and he actually has a one-on-one close-up encounter with this Fouke monster.
So like, okay, like the way you said it for a second, it's like he had a one-on-one. I'm like walking out in the woods and thought, "Sup, bro?"
But, oh no, they had a nice like little dinner together.
Wait, hold on. They went to the one good restaurant in Fouke?
If there is a good, they probably just have a Waffle House, which is fine actually. I would go to a Waffle House with the Fouke monster. Yeah, I would go to the Waffle House with the Fouke monster.
You know what? This is a date with Bigfoot to Waffle House sounds like the setup for a Monster of the Week game.
Kinda, yeah. But to get back to what I was talking about, the Fouke monster, basically he came face to face with the Fouke monster and it grabbed him, but he was able to nudge it off and just run in the house. Apparently he went to the hospital for minor cuts and bruises and a little bit of shock, obviously. And shortly after all of this transpired, which I think was in the course of a couple of weeks, they fucking noped out of there.
To be fair, yes, yeah.
The thing is, too, it's like they not only had to deal with like something stalking around their house, they had to deal with like locals and like other people badgering them about it and maybe even making fun of them about it. So they just were like, "Nah, I'm good. We're gone." But this singular event, like over any other event, because a lot of the events are just, I see something, wow, in the woods. That's weird. That's crazy.
Or you go back and like check footage from something and like there was something in the background you didn't notice at the time. Or
yeah, this one actually feels like even if you have like I could see an explanation for it, like a rational explanation, but I can also see, having so many up close and personal encounters with whatever this creature is, I could see like this actually being something. And not to mention, I believe the Fords are fairly credible in terms of like.
It's not like anybody was like trying to get out, like they couldn't pay their house note or the stuff
that I know of.
Like the people at the Amityville Horror House were accused of. That kind of thing.
No, there's actually nothing like that. Everything I heard, it was just the Fords were like, "This happened. We just moved here. We moved." They didn't just move; they moved out of Fouke. So,
like they straight up just said, "Nah, not even here."
Yeah, they're just no. We're not even going to stay here. After that, the news of this kind of spread nationwide, and eventually,
man, I miss slow news days.
Yeah, I know, right?
Look, wouldn't it be great if we had a slow news day today and like all of a sudden a Bigfoot story or like a Rougarou story popped up somewhere and that made national news and that's what we all focused on, kind of like murder hornets back in like 2020.
Yeah, just have something that's not necessarily like that doesn't fill you with as much existential dread as like the 24-hour news cycle does.
Yeah.
It would be nice just to be like, oh, hey, in this small town there's a Bigfoot. That would be fun. And
that's going to also drive up the tourist industry because people, especially us, millennials, especially elder millennials, like, what, Bigfoot Town that's, what, 2 hours, 3 hours away?
Yeah, this one's actually like, well, not to dox us, it's about 2 hours away from us.
So, I mean, that's a Saturday day trip.
Yeah, this is right outside of Texarkana, so...
Hey, future trip.
We'll see.
Go to the Monster Mart.
We'll see about that, because there's some things about Fouke. Well, we'll get into that. So, after these events got national attention, they got the attention of a man named Charles B. Pierce, a set director and up-and-coming director in Hollywood. I don't know if he was actually in Hollywood. We just say Hollywood as like a kind of catch-all for like filmmakers. Mm-hmm. So he decided to make a movie on the Legend of Boggy Creek, or the Fouke one. Came down, got a bunch of people together to film. He got everyone involved to do reenactments. Some of the people were actually reenacting some of the things that happened to them. Came down to the town, did that, released the movie. It was a resounding success. And before you know it, so many people were coming to Fouke, Arkansas to see the monster, to look for it and everything. Kind of, you can kind of see in this scenario now, there's like one side of town maybe like, this is cool, I like this, more money coming in. And then the other side's like, please stop going on my lawn with a shotgun looking for the monster.
I'd appreciate it if I didn't find you out behind my house.
Yeah.
Like, but with the Fouke monster bait that you got probably at the Monster Mart.
Yeah, apparently before the movie, it got pretty bad. There was like hysteria about the Fouke monster and everything, and there was actually a bounty put on the Fouke monster. They put a bounty on the Fouke monster's head.
Oh shit! I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, well, nothing really came of it. Just a lot more people carrying guns, and it got so bad that they were like, y'all need to stop carrying so many guns around. It's time, for once in a southern town, the sheriff was like, we need to chill out with the guns.
We have some gun control issues right now.
It's like, y'all are looking for something that no one can confirm. Y'all are all hawked up on ghost stories with guns. Chill out. So eventually, they rescinded that and everything. But it started bringing a lot of tourism into the town, and a lot of people didn't like it. It's not because, it's a small town. This is a town of I think it was only about 600 people at the time.
Wow. Yeah,
so it was it's a very small town.
That's how many kids I have at my school.
Yeah. So there was a lot of people that didn't like it. And as you can imagine, it's a small southern town.
In Arkansas specifically.
So yeah, from there, I don't really want to get too far into it. Like, we could go back into like the Fouke monster later on, because there's just so much there. I mean, we could actually do just do like a review podcast on all 5 or all 6 of the fucking movies.
That actually would be pretty fun. Like, go ahead and watch them later on. And...
Some of the names are amazing.
Okay, tell me about these. Fire away.
Okay, so there's The Legacy of Boggy Creek. That's normal. Boggy Creek, The Legend is True, which is not about the Fouke monster. It's about some other animal, or I think specifically about the skunk ape in Texas. So it's based in Texas. It's not about the Fouke monster, but it has Boggy Creek in the name. Who knew? There's actually 2 sequels to Boggy Creek, technically. There's Return to Boggy Creek, which isn't a direct sequel, but it's related. And then there's the Boggy Creek 2, The Legend Continues, which is actually a direct sequel to the film.
Huh. I'm starting to get like some of the the Living Dead type things, like
a little bit.
Like, not like the Night of.
I don't know how trademarked the Fouke monster, The Legend of Boggy Creek is, because it's hard to... I would suspect Boggy Creek is kind of hard to... I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Hold on, Chris. Let's make a new one. We'll call it The Legend of Boggy Creek. the creature rolls the dice, and we take the Fouke monster to Vegas.
That's a bit of a mouthful, I think. How about the continuation of the legacy of Boggy Creek?
Is that another
Part
one?
3.
Is that actually one of the names?
No, I just made that
okay.
shit. But the latest one, not really related to like the sequel, is actually a legit documentary called The Boggy Creek Monster. You actually can find this on YouTube. I used some of this for my research, which is where I got some of the conflicting information I got from earlier stuff. Because this is the information I got was said that, you know, the whole 3-toed versus 5-toed thing. That's where all that comes from. But yeah, it was a good documentary. I recommend people go checking it out. It's from the Small Town Monsters channel. It's really good. So, let's get into theories. Specifically, one theory. So, what is the Fouke monster really?
A bear.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was coming. I mean, that's what they think Bigfoot is, right?
I'm not saying like a bear, raw bear in the woods bear. I'm talking about like somebody's big hairy uncle that's just out in the woods that's a bear.
Oh, dang, get out of the woods.
I'm just trying to find love.
You don't find love in the woods like that. Get out of the woods.
You know what? Now we know how the beginning of our version of the Boggy Creek monster movie starts.
It's cold out there. Your nips are like getting too hard. Get out of there.
I mean, they are pretty red, but you know what? I'm just going to go for a walk. I'll be fine. Sits there. Oh, man, it's cold. Oh, there's an open window, and I see a blanket.
Oh, no.
That's how it all starts.
So lots of evidence point to the misidentification of bears. I mean, for one, let's get this out of the way. Bears are a lot more common now here in the South than they were, like, what was it, 50 years ago?
Because of conservation efforts to bring, especially the Louisiana black bear that's common to the entire area down here.
Yeah. So looking it up, I actually looked it up. So there's about 4,000 to 6,000 bears now in all of Arkansas. Back then, there was about 400 to 600. So, you know, the further back you go, the less bears there are. But there are things that kind of show this might be a bear. One big thing is that bears can stand upright really well. And in fact, they're good at walking. Like, they're really good at it. Like, no, seriously, I go on YouTube and I see these fucking bears just walking through neighborhoods. Usually they do this because their front paws are injured, but they'll walk through and they just look like they're strolling, even though I'm like, oh, the bear's hurt. Poor guy.
Also, it's one of those things people, especially down here because of the black bear, is most black bears people see are not full grown. They're not big.
Yeah.
Like, most people see them, you're like, oh, it's a little 5-foot bear.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but that's not a full-grown black bear. Black bears can get up to almost 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
Depending on the subspecies. And even then, a lot of people, again, you see a black bear and it's like 4 foot at the shoulders, kind of, you're like, oh, then it stands up and you realize, oh shit, that thing's over 6 foot.
Yeah. And that goes back to just talking about a black bear standing up. People saying that the legs were shorter than the arms.
Mm-hmm.
That would do
Bears
that.
also have a natural hunch when they're standing on their back legs because their head rolls.
Yeah.
Their neck doesn't.
And they just got naturally large bodies. Like
that would also explain the 3 foot wide chest.
Yeah. So there's also the problem, or not really a problem. There's also the fact that, like, despite we didn't talk about this is my bad. The reddish brown coat that the Fouke monsters apparently have, black bears can have that too.
Yeah,
like it's not actually that uncommon.
Yeah, it's really weird because there are brown bears that are black in fur, and there are also brown bear species that are, or black bear species that are brown in fur. It's one of those bad naming things in English. Because like there are, I think it's like Kodiaks. Kodiaks can have a fur that's so dark it looks black.
Yeah,
but they're a brown bear.
Yeah. And a big thing too is just like you see a lot of the behavioral stuff of bears. One kid said he saw the Fouke monster near a lake or near a creek. I don't think it was a lake, but it was near a creek, and said it was sniffing the air, which
That's a bear.
while bears tend to roam during the day, sometimes they will try to roam at night if they're trying to avoid people or if they're trying to avoid other wildlife, and they just kind of want to find an easy meal in the dark. And they have red eyes shine sometimes. So,
Are you telling me bears are Sith?
yeah, bears are Sith. But yeah, so there is a lot to point to that the Ford's encounters could have very likely have been bears. But there's something about like this kind of goes into that idea. It's like how much experience in the wilderness and how much familiarity with wildlife do you need to have before you can kind of instantly identify something. Like there are people in Fouke that I would say like generally don't, especially around the time when they really started popping off. When do those people that spend their days in the woods and actually know how to identify things, so when do their experiences come like, oh, that's not a bear, I know what a bear is. Like if I were to see something like I on one hand I could see myself getting like freaked out enough. If I were like face to face with the bear, I would probably misidentify it. But at the same time, if I'm spending a lot of time in the woods, I would probably know how bears act and how they move and how they behave.
Yeah, outdoors, folks that are more outdoorsy.
Yeah.
Definitely would. You and me go into the woods, I guarantee half hour, we've seen something that freaks us out and that we're going to opt to, unless it's like a campground we're going to.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, if it was a campground to go to, we'd be fine. But, like, if we were just hiking out, like, we're going to go to a national park.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go to a regular campground. The places that allow free camping. And I guarantee you an hour, we're going to see something we don't know and freak out about and be like, the car's that way. Let's GPS our way back to the vehicle and rent a cabin.
While a lot of the people, either I think they're full of shit, or I think they might have misidentified things. Like, I could see people misidentifying things running across. I mean, that's probably a bear just on its hind legs running across the road.
Well, also, as quick as a bear might run across the road, if you're not paying attention, your brain does play tricks on you with shapes.
Yeah. Like, there was a account where it's like an army guy going through Fouke, heading to a base. Said he saw a wild man. Like, was that a bear or was that an actual just naked dude just walking through? I don't know. But
I'd rather it be a bear than a naked dude running through the woods, personally.
That's fair. At least you know the bear's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if there's just a naked dude running through the woods, like, ah! I'd be like, I'm just going to keep going.
But yeah, to this day, the Fouke monster is a fixture in the town, whether it's real or fake or what have you, somewhere in between. But yeah, it's an interesting story, and it's something I would like to get back into because there is actually a lot of stuff there, like getting into Smoky Crabtree's whole thing. We didn't get into that. There's so much shit to get into just in this subject. I would like to get into. But yeah, what did you think?
That's really cool. Like, I mean, like I said, when you started describing it, I was like, oh wait, I watched something like this. It was on Amazon, and then finding out that this was real, not like some mockumentary type thing, or like I said, like a riff tracks type thing. Yeah, that's really cool. And finding out that hey, here's a cryptid that has a fan club, for lack of a better term. Yeah, 2 hours away. That might be neat.
It would just be us, though.
Yeah.
Because I did read on Wikipedia, which has an 85 to 90% accuracy, no matter what you think. It's more accurate than most encyclopedias. That it was a sundown town.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why I was like...
That's to be fair, that's not a...
It's not uncommon. And look, I'm not trying to disparage the good folk of Fouke.
But there's a history.
There is a history, and in one of the documentaries, in the Boggy Creek Monster documentary, he states that some of the he used flowery language, but he said that they described the Fouke monster in ways that that we wouldn't today, and I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh no, we can. I see. I can read between the lines there.
It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, were they? It's like, were you being racist to the Fouke monster? Is this what's going on?
They were being racist. Don't be racist to the Fouke monster.
Please don't be racist. Just don't be racist.
Yeah, that's a good one too. That's actually way better. Don't body shame and don't be racist.
So that's the Fouke monster.
Awesome. Thanks, man. That was a really cool thing to learn.
Yeah. And we'll be back whenever we do this again, or we don't know. We haven't scheduled these out.
Yeah,
so it's Tuesday, every Tuesday.
We're still figuring this out. This is by the time you hear this, we will probably have figured something out.
It'll probably be like the 6th episode or something.
Something like that. Anyway, if you want to find out more, you can see some of the other things we do with Team Bonus Action on teambonusaction.com or on Facebook, YouTube, Threads, Instagram as Team Bonus Action, and on Twitch as Team Bonus Action. Or you can find us on Twitter at bonus_team. So, I guess y'all have a good one.
Y'all have a good day or night or one of those.